Now, what I want to get into is the call cadence. And call cadence, if you're not familiar with the term, cadence is another word for cadence is rhythm, right? So, what is the rhythm that you're going to use in trying to get a hold of this person? And what we're going to do with this call cadence is we're going to pull all those multi-touch methods together and show you a process that you could use, a call cadence that you could use, and put all that together to improve your ability to connect and get prospects to answer the phone. So the starting point is you make your very first cold call, okay? And you can actually start this process also with a pre-call email, and I'll show you that in a second. But you make your cold call, and then you reach a decision, right? You make a call, do they answer the call? Well, if they answer the call, then it's another training subject, and we can help you there, as I said. But then you go through your cold call script, or you go through your call. We definitely have a lot of tips for you there, and it's very important to execute there. But that's really not what we're talking about here today. What we're talking about here is what to do when they don't answer the call. So on your first pass, we're going to recommend to not leave a voicemail message. So you hang up on the very first attempt. Now, what we recommend you do is at this point, you're going to send the pre-call email, which is the pre-call email is one that it says we haven't spoken. It's one designed where you haven't spoken yet. It treats the situation like they don't know who you are, and so you send your pre-call email. Now, after your pre-call email, you're going to pause for 1 day, and I like to use the word pause. Because what I like you to operate with the mindset of is that I'm continuing to try to get a hold of this person, and I'm only stopping when I push pause. Most people kind of think about it the other way. It's like I'm always like not doing anything, and when am I going to start doing something? So they think of it as like a callback reminder. Call a reminder to start doing stuff again. I like to think of it as like, how long am I pausing for until I start to work on this prospect again? So pause for 1 day because you sent the pre-call email. Now you'll notice I did add a second start arrow here. So you could just start with this pre-call email. If you want to just start off with an email instead of calling them, you can just pick up with this call cadence at this step and kind of skip that earlier process. That was round 1. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through 4 rounds with you on this call cadence. Now round 2 begins when the 1 day pause expires. So 1 day pause expires, and now it's time to call them back. So it's really kind of day 2 in this scenario. So now we call back. Again, did they answer the call? Yes, they did. Okay. Go through the script. No, they didn't. Okay. Leave. Now we're going to leave voicemail number 1. And it says number 1 because we have multiple voicemail messages that we're going to leave. So we leave voicemail number 1. Now, remember what I told you to do. After each voicemail you leave, you're going to need to send an email follow-up. So we actually have an email that's actually paired and aligned with that voicemail message number 1. So post voicemail email number 1. Okay. Now, since we've called them, we left them a voicemail, and we sent them another email, we're going to pause for 7 days. Okay. Now, then we move to round 3. So the 7-day pause expires. Now we're going to call back. Okay. And so it's about a week and a half has gone by since we've begun this process. We call back again. Did they answer the call? Yes. Okay. Go through the script. We know what to do there. No. Okay. Well, now we're going to do something different. And what I'm going to recommend to you is to not leave a voicemail message. Okay. Some people there's a big discussion that you could have on, do I leave a voicemail or do I not leave a voicemail? And what I think the right answer is that you use a mix, and you're only leaving voicemail messages as a way to kind of communicate. You're not really leaving them as a way to get the prospect to call you back. And so during this period, we're not going to leave voicemail messages. And one of the reasons why is when you leave a voicemail message, you have to pause. Because if I call you this morning, I can't call you and leave you. If I call you this morning and I leave you a voicemail message, I can't call you again this afternoon. I'm going to seem like a stalker, right? I'm going to begin to break rapport. So I got to pause for at least a couple days, maybe a week. I don't, depends on your style. But if I call you this morning and you don't answer and I hang up on your voicemail, it's fair game for me to call you back this afternoon. For all I know, you don't know I called, and I'm trying to get a hold of you. I didn't leave you a voicemail, so you don't know to call me back. So I'm going to call you back, and you just operate with that sort of ignorance, that thinking that they don't know that you called, which they probably don't because they were away from their desk in a meeting, right? I mean, there could be the case where they know what your number is and they saw it on caller ID and they ignored it, but we're thinking positively, right? So that's a very negative way to think. The positive way to think is that they were in a meeting, they don't know you called, and you're trying to call them back. So during this period, we're going to call 5 to 10 times over a period of time. And the period of time depends on how many leads you have to work, how busy you are, how much time you're spending prospecting, right? I mean, the 5 to 10 times could be a few days. It could be a week. But what we're going to do is once we get through either 1 week or 5 to 10 call attempts, again, that should all be logged in our CRM, then we're going to leave voicemail number 2, which is a different voicemail message. And we're going to follow up with post voicemail email number 2. Okay, and so then we're going to pause for another 7 days. Okay, and so that kind of begins to close out round 3, but we're not done yet. This second voicemail is a trigger step for us to tell us to do something new. And what we're going to do now is this triggers us to move horizontally or laterally, actually horizontally or vertically, actually is the correct words there, to find a new contact in the organization. So this is where we try to find someone new. We've made a lot of attempts so far to this person. Now we're going to try to find something new. We're going to call their boss. We're going to call their subordinate. We're going to call another department. Once we find a new contact, you can either do that on social media. We might be able to do that from talking to a gatekeeper. But once we find that new contact, what we do is we begin round 1, step 1, with that new contact. And if you were to follow this workflow, it would basically go back 2 slides to the beginning of the process that we started. I'm not going to go through that. I'm going to continue on with what we would do with this contact that we started with, and now we progress to round 4. So the 7-day pause expires. We call back again. Okay, did they answer? Yes. Okay, we go through our script. No. Now we're going to again do the leave 5 to 10, leave voicemail, do not leave voicemail 5 to 10 times. So this is similar to what we did in round 3. Once we reach that sort of, sorry, there was a label up there. Once we reach that after 1 week, 5 to 10 attempts, we leave voicemail number 3, send post voicemail number 3 email. Now, so let's stop and reflect at what we've done here, right? We've called them a bunch. We've sent them a bunch of emails. We've left them 3 voicemails. I think we've done a lot, right? And this is sort of and by the way, the time frame here would probably be, 3 weeks or so, 3 to 4 weeks that you've been working on this lead. Now, this is where you could maybe potentially close this prospect as either not. I wouldn't close them as not interested because you don't know that. You might want to close the lead in your system or process as just someone that you're actively working. Now, here's where we bring in the email drip campaign, right? We have their email address, so let's add them to our email drip campaign where they're maybe going to get an email from us. I mean, if you're on my email drip campaign, you probably get a couple emails a week, depending on which list you're on. So you're not going to put this person on a list that they get an email every other day, right? That's where you put your warm leads. You put these prospects on a list where they might get 1 to 2 emails a month, maybe something like that, because they still don't know who you are. So that email drip is going to pick up where this call cadence leaves off, and that's kind of really there's one more topic I'm going to talk to you about real quickly, but that's sort of that's bringing everything together. Now, there's nothing revolutionary in there what I showed you. We're talking about making calls, we're talking about leaving voicemails, hanging up, sending emails, whatever, right? There's nothing crazy. It's what I'm sharing with you is a process that you can apply. And that process, not only does it provide you with more structure, but it provides you with more persistence. And that's really something that you need because you got to, let me give you an example. my insurance company tried to get a hold of me to talk to me about my auto insurance. I mean, I'm a current customer of they're not cold calling me. I know who they are, and they must have called me like, I don't know. They called me a bunch, right? And I never answered their call. I never returned their voicemail because I'm busy. You know, I'm sure you can relate to that in your own life. You just have to be persistent. I mean, like I said, if you're calling them 2 or 3 times and you're saying these people are impossible to get a hold of, you're not doing it enough. So that's the call cadence.